The Lord of the Rings is an epic fantasy movie trilogy, one of the most popular series of films of all time. Although the film series lasts hours and hours long, more so in the extended versions, its strength is that it can be explained quickly. There is a ring. It is both magical and dangerous in the wrong hands. A heroic group is tasked with taking it to Mount Doom to destroy it before the main antagonist gets his hands on it. That's it. Microwave the popcorn, jump in. The plot may sound simple, but it's actually perfect for an adventure film or film series. The motivations are clear. Everyone's motivations and basic character elements are well established shortly into the first film. All the pieces are set. There's a huge cast, yes, but the subplots all revolve around the same thing, the War of the Ring. In that sense, it is complex, but not complicated, an important distinction to make. The Lord of the Rings is also a perfect example of a trope in fantasy and science fiction, its uses and misuses. In the first film, The Fellowship of the Ring, Gandalf fights a gigantic monster called a Balrog. He screams something that becomes a popular internet meme, and then dies. It's a heartbreaking scene, one of the best in the first movie. In the second film, The Two Towers, it is revealed that Gandalf the Grey has magically returned to life and now calls himself Gandalf the White. It is not explained in any great detail. He just says he needs to come back. He was needed in Middle-earth and now he's back, and that's it. This begs a question. Why did Gandalf have to come back to life? One might quickly argue that it's because it happened in the book. True, okay, but why did it have to happen at all? There has been a resurgence in the Gandalf debate in recent years, partly due to something famed fantasy author George R.R. Martin said. He believed that the rest of the Fellowship should have gone on without Gandalf. The wizard had a great death, and there was no need to go back on it. Think about it. The most powerful being in the Fellowship, Gandalf the Grey, a man who can go toe-to-toe with a Balrog, is slain. This can create a great sense of dread and consequences. If Gandalf can die, what chance do a bunch of hobbits have? This is a dangerous quest. For the audience, that's a good thing, because it creates tension, and when the tiny travelers finally win, it will be that much more remarkable. Death can form stakes for the story, consequences, impact. It's why Star Trek often had a red shirt die early in an episode. It established the danger. In The Lord of the Rings, Gandalf's lasting death would have been even more impactful because we actually cared about him. He was not a nameless red shirt. He was Gandalf the Grey. His resurrection also conjured up a lot of other problems. Let's look at our cast. The main group of the film series was comprised of Frodo, Sam, Pippin, Merry, Gandalf, Legolas, Gimli, Aragorn, and Boromir. They are charged with destroying the ring and saving Middle-earth. There is a lot of danger along the way, but the only character of those 9 to die and stay dead is Boromir. He is shot full of arrows, makes a big speech about how Aragorn is the true king, and passes away. His death has meaning. It has weight. Perhaps not coincidentally, Boromir's death occurred while Gandalf was away, mistakenly presumed to be gone forever. If Boromir died in the middle of the Two Towers instead of the Fellowship of the Ring, his death would have seemed confusing. See, by the Two Towers, Gandalf had returned to the land of the living. In the film, it is not explained clearly how this happened, only that he must return until, as he put it, his task was completed. He has super crazy magic, and he appears either to be able to control the power of life and death, or some Middle-earth deity has suddenly given him this gift. Again, it is vague, magic often is. Anyway, if Boromir had passed on during the Two Towers, we, the audience, would sit there in the theater and say, "Hey, Gandalf, how did you come back to life and Boromir did not? Can't you bring him back to life too with your weird magic?" Boromir's death can only work during that brief period in the film series in which Gandalf is gone. Once he returns from the dead, it does not appear as if there are any real consequences should someone else in the Fellowship die. Maybe Gandalf can say abracadabra and Samwise will pop back up if Gollum decides to crush his skull one night. Even if this takes place while they're away from each other, Gandalf can just use his eagles to bring the corpse to him or something. Now, already there are Tolkien fans who are ready to explain that Gandalf might not be able to do that, and that his magic may not work that way, and explain the convoluted rules of spells in the world of Middle-earth, and that's fine. That's a conversation to be had, definitely. But that's not the point. See, the point is that it seemed like it could happen, because Gandalf reappeared, and that feeling, even if it can be partially explained away by using the lore and mythology of Tolkien's world, can still take away a lot of suspense out of any story. The perception was that characters could overcome death fairly easily. For Gandalf, it just happened. Resurrections occur all the time in fiction, especially fantasy and sci-fi. In comic books, superheroes are frequently killed, usually someone big to drive sales, and then quickly return to the readers by way of magic or super science. The bigger the name, the more likely they are to return in a hurry, rather than years and years down the road. It has become a running gag in the medium. If a superhero dies, we are meant to feel sad, because they usually die doing something noble. But if we know they will come back soon, how can we possibly get invested? In film and television, resurrection is not as common as in comic books, but it is still so prevalent that the audience is not too surprised when it happens. In the television series Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the main character, Buffy Summers, dies at the end of Season 5. In the beginning of Season 6, she is brought back to life by magic. She crawls out of her grave and everything is as it once was. This changes the consequences for the entire series. If Buffy dies, she can always be brought back by Willow or any other powerful witch. She is basically immortal. It also confuses the matter of death because major characters died during the series, and Willow did not bring them back to life. If Buffy can be so easily resurrected, why not Buffy's mother? Why not Willow's tragically murdered girlfriend, Tara? Why is Buffy the only character who can come back? Because she's the star of the show? That makes sense from a production standpoint, but not for the mythology of the Buffy universe. It seems strange that Tara can't come back if resurrection has been established as something Willow can do. There will undoubtedly be some who will try to explain why some characters can be brought back and some can't because of mystical reasons, but it always comes across contrived. It also always throws a lot of doubt into the universe that we are experiencing. Resurrections hurt a story for two reasons. First, they lower the stakes for our main characters, and second, they make any lasting death seem confusing. It's hard to believe the Fellowship had any chance of failing with Wizard Jesus on their side. Drama is all about conflict and suspense. Immortality takes that away from us.